Beloved, there comes a moment in every awakened life when something subtle but unmistakable happens. It might come through as a conversation, a moment of stillness, a breakdown, a breakthrough, or even the quiet exhaustion of trying to keep up with a life that doesn't feel like it's your own anymore. That moment sounds like this. I don't think this is actually my life I'm living. I think this is a life I've learned to build based on someone else's frequency. This episode is where we explore that exact moment, the moment you realize you've been living on borrowed frequency, borrowed expectations, borrowed beliefs, borrowed emotional patterns, borrowed standards, borrowed definitions of worth, borrowed ways of coping, borrowed identities, borrowed ways of loving, and borrowed energy. And none of this is failure. It's simply what happens when a sensitive person grows up in an energetically loud world. So today, beloved, we walk gently into the recognition that nearly everyone eventually faces. So much of what I call me isn't actually me. Part 1. What does borrowed frequency even mean? Let's break this down in the simplest, most human terms. Borrowed frequency is what happens when you absorb the emotional tone of others, you internalize the expectations placed on you, you take on roles that weren't yours, you shape yourself to avoid someone else's anger, you become who someone needed you to be, you adapt to match the energy of the room, you inherit beliefs that don't align with your soul, you shrink or harden to stay safe, you mirror people to feel accepted, you carry the pain of others as if it were your own. Borrowed frequency is identity built through absorption instead of expression. It's not who you are, it's who you've learned to be. And beloved, none of that makes you weak. In fact, it makes you incredibly sensitive and incredibly adaptive. But sensitivity and adaptation are gifts, not identities. Part 2. The signs you're living on borrowed frequency. Let's talk about how you actually feel the moment you realize you've been living this way. These are some of the most common sensations. You feel drained even after resting. You feel disconnected from your own desires. You feel responsible for everyone else's emotions. You feel like you're performing life instead of living it. You don't know what brings you joy anymore. You feel heavy around certain people for no logical reason. You notice that the choices are based on avoiding reactions, not honoring your truth. You take on moods that aren't yours. You feel pressured to maintain roles you never consciously chose. It's not burnout, it's not depression, it's not confusion, it's misalignment. It's the body whispering, this frequency isn't mine. Part 3. How borrowed energy becomes your normal. Here's the profound part, beloved. When you live with borrowed frequency long enough, it stops feeling borrowed. It starts feeling familiar. You don't question it because the patterns became your rhythms. The roles became your identity. The expectations became your compass. The self-sacrifice became your worth. The emotional absorption became your sensitivity. The overthinking became your personality. The self-abandonment became your normal. But there is a moment, a significant one, where the soul quietly breaks the spell. And when that happens, all the familiar things start feeling foreign. That's when you know the sovereign self is waking up. Part 4. The moment of awakening. This isn't mine. It often arrives in a whisper, a moment when you're standing in your kitchen, or driving in silence, or sitting with someone you've known your whole life. And suddenly the awareness hits. I don't think this feeling belongs to me. I don't think this belief is actually mine. I don't think the pace is natural for me. I don't think this version of me is the real me. This is the beginning of frequency sovereignty. This is the moment where truth pierces the noise. This is the moment where you stop performing and start awakening. And beloved, it's the holy moment, because it signals the return of your true self. Part 5. Releasing borrowed frequency without blame. Here's something important. We do not shame the people we borrowed from. We do not shame ourselves for borrowing. Borrowed frequency comes from parents doing the best they could, partners who were operating from their own wounds, systems that didn't allow authenticity, environments that required survival over expression, family structures built around unspoken rules, culture, religion, trauma, fear. You didn't choose it, but now, beloved, you get to choose differently. Sovereignty isn't rebellion, it's reclamation. Part 6, a gentle practice. What isn't mine? Let's end with a practice that is both healing and revealing. Sit somewhere quiet. Take a breath. Place your hand on your heart and ask yourself, what am I carrying that isn't mine? Don't force, don't analyze, just listen. Maybe a memory arises, maybe a relationship, maybe a belief, maybe a pressure, maybe a role, maybe an emotion, maybe a pace of life that never fit you, maybe a dream that was never yours. Whatever comes up, simply whisper, this is not mine to carry, and feel even 1 ounce of it release. That release, even the smallest one, is how sovereignty begins. Not through intensity, not through willpower, but through gentle, repeated recognition. You are not returning to a new self, you are returning to your real self. And beloved, I already see the light returning to you.